Hey everybody, it is Mr. Sanders Twin again, and welcome back to the couch. So we are here with Abby today. Go ahead and say hello, Abby, or not. That's okay. And we are going to be reading the next chapter of My Family Divided. So I am ready. I got my tea because still not used to the cold, and we're ready to get started. So let's get into it. Chapter 2, Wonder Years. To make sense of my family story, let's start at the beginning. On July 21st, 1986, I entered the world with a privilege that has shaped my entire existence. Because I was born in the United States, I received a gift guaranteed by the 14th Amendment of our Constitution: citizenship. My mother and father, or mommy and poppy, as I lovingly call them, and my big brother Eric would have done just about anything to have that blessing for themselves, too. Mommy and Poppy worked, and I mean super hard. That's what it takes to make it in America as you're struggling for citizenship. From the time they arrived from Colombia, they accepted the sort of low paying jobs that make some people turn up their noses: scrubbing toilets, painting houses, mowing lawns, mopping floors, the kind of work no one else wants to do. The kind of work we sometimes don't even notice is being taken care of. My dad, Hector, left for his shift as a restaurant dishwasher well before sunrise. At noon, he went to his other job at a factory. Monday through Friday, and sometimes on weekends, my father worked. It's how he made ends meet for us. All right, everybody, we're going to answer the first question. How would you describe Diane's parents? This is more of an inferential question, so here are some clues. Mommy and Poppy worked, and I mean super hard. That's what it takes to make it in America as you're struggling for citizenship. From the time they arrived from Colombia, they accepted the sort of low paying jobs that make some people turn up their noses. And if you'd like a sentence starter, you can use I would describe Diane's parents as blank. All right, let's go ahead and move on. My mother, Maria, did everything from babysitting to cleaning hotels and office buildings. When I was small, she took me along for her shifts. As she wheeled her supply cart through the aisles, stopping to vacuum and wipe, she let me wander. "Put that back, Diane," she'd scold if she caught me touching things. Almost immediately, I'd be on to other mischief, swiveling in a chair and play typing, pretending I was a secretary. I could always entertain myself. My imagination came with me wherever we went. My parents came here as immigrants to make sure I had opportunities that weren't available in Colombia. I often took it for granted that even though they had very little, didn't know the area, and didn't have the same technology we have today, like smartphones, Yelp, or navigation, they still managed to find cool places to take me and my friends. I remember how they found a great skating rink they would take us to and watch while we had fun on the ice. I think about those days often, how they tried to give us the very best and help us live the most normal lives possible. When I think about skating in that rink, I realize how much they sacrificed. One of my favorite things to do when I was in elementary school was to find a spot on our sofa, curl up with the remote, and flip through my favorite shows. I also had this huge collection of Disney movies. I knew every character by heart, like Princess Jasmine, Belle, Simba, Cruella, and Pocahontas. Yeah, they were my homies. By kindergarten, I'd become convinced I was Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I dressed like her, sang like her, and of course, I knew all the details of her wish to escape from her life to another. Ariel was my kind of girl, a dreamer. How does your song go? My brother Eric teased me one Friday. Is it Under the Ocean? Shut up, I said, rolling my eyes, embarrassed. He'd overheard the rendition of Wish I Could Be Part of That World that I'd recently hollered into my microphone. And by microphone, I mean my mom's hairbrush. Eric, who is 10 years older, kept an eye on me when our parents were out. Can you imagine growing up with a sibling who's a full decade older? It's like being an only child. Think about it. When I was 6, Eric was 16, which means that for the most part, he did his thing and I did mine. He was cool, taking me along with him, always having my back. Come on, baby girl, he'd say when we'd scrounged up enough loose change from beneath our couch cushions. Let's go down to Chuck E. Cheese's. There, he'd play video games while I jumped myself silly in the inflatable bouncer. When we got home, we'd curl up in front of the tube again. When it came to TV hang time, Sundays were the best. Eric would mix up one of his chocolate shakes or fruit smoothies, and we would watch The Simpsons. It was our weekly tradition. My parents started early and worked long hours. They made sure that they usually finished work by dinner time. Family meals were important to us. At 5, the smell of mommy's rice and beans, fried plantains, and sancocho, a Colombian soup with corn and beef, wafted through our halls, rising to mix with the sound of salsa music. My mother and father are both fantastic cooks. Mommy had her signature dishes, and Poppy was always creating something new, sometimes adding an American, Chinese, Italian, or Dominican twist. One thing is for sure, our fridge was never empty. Poppy would always say we didn't have much, but at least we had food. I didn't ask for much, as long as he'd make me my favorite weekend snack of pulpos y papitas, octopus and fries. Poppy would cut a hot dog in half and slice it at the middle 2 ways so that the hot dog looked like it had tentacles. And when fried, the tentacles would come out looking like an octopus. My dad was always doing fun things like that for me. All right, we're going to answer the next question. What did Diane's family always make sure they had enough of? You'll find the information you're looking for in this paragraph right here, specifically these few sentences right here. One thing is for sure, our fridge was never empty. Poppy would always say we didn't have much, but at least we had food. And you can use a sentence starter. Diane's family always made sure they had enough blank. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I was easy to please. I'd eat pretty much anything, as long as it had ketchup on it, and the foods didn't touch one another. Ooh, that's delicious, my mother would declare upon tasting her creation. Then, as she prepared my plate, she'd pour the beans directly over the rice. Mommy, I'd protest, can you please keep them separate? Dinner was our time to catch up. It was also my chance to take center stage. Once the family had gathered around the table, I'd belt out whatever Selena or Whitney Houston's hit I'd just learned. And I will always love you, I sang one evening, lifting an arm to add drama. My audience applauded as if I'd brought down the house at Madison Square Garden. That's wonderful, honey, Mommy exclaimed. After a few more ballads, Poppy would cut my concert short. That's enough, Chibola, he'd say through laughs. He'd given me that sweet nickname after he'd learned it on a Peruvian TV show. It's slang for my little girl. Whenever he said it, I cracked up. We moved a lot, but all within a small area of Boston. If the rent went up, we searched for somewhere more affordable. Our homes were small, with tiny bedrooms. Eric usually had his own space, but until I was 5, I slept with my parents. As I got older, Mommy would create a makeshift bedroom for me, mattress and all, in the living room. Sometimes we lived in an apartment. Other times, we were in a two-family house. I didn't care, as long as we were together. We always made do with whatever we had. My mother did all she could to make our surroundings nice. She hung lacy curtains that she'd gotten on sale. She spruced up our bathroom with a blue fluffy floor mat. On her days off, she dusted and organized the living room. She had a thing for scented candles. During the Catholic holidays, she'd line up a row of them, lighting each to fill our living room with a sweet smell. Mommy took pride in how our home looked and how she herself looked. She valued cleanliness as much as an honest day's work. She saved her pennies so she could occasionally splurge on lotion or lipstick. She kept her nails polished, and before bed, she brushed her dark shoulder length mane until it was silky. Poppy was well groomed too. His short hair was swept neatly back, his mustache perfectly trimmed. He wore cologne daily. No matter how much they struggled with money, they made sure Eric and I always rocked at least one cool outfit. They taught us to make the most of what we had and to look our best. They also passed on an important lesson that our bond with each other and our neighbors was the greatest treasure of all. In our community, we looked out for one another. When my parents or our neighbors' friends fled here from Colombia, they often slept on our floor. We need to help them get settled, Mommy would explain as she scooted over my mattress to make room for the visitors. Just as my parents' friends and family had done for them, Mommy and Poppy would hook up newcomers with work, like cleaning or house painting. Show them where to get affordable groceries. Help them with English. Listen to their stories from home. Encourage them to get residence or citizenship that would allow them to live in the United States legally. At home and in the community, we all spoke a mix of Spanish and accented English. People with accents are often dismissed. It's assumed that they don't know the language well. The way I see it, though, an accent is a sign of hard work and bravery, of stepping outside of your comfort zone, learning a language that you weren't raised with. There's ambition in an accent, which I have always deeply admired. All right, let's go ahead and answer the next question. How does Diane perceive people with accents? You'll find what you're looking for in these couple of sentences here. The way I see it, though, an accent is a sign of hard work and bravery, of stepping outside your comfort zone, learning a language that you weren't raised with. There's ambition in an accent, which I have always deeply admired. You can use a sentence starter too. Diane, oops, perceives people with accents as blank. All right, let's go ahead and finish the chapter and answer the last question. Between my nightly performances and Los Hermanos Lebrón blaring from our radio, there was rarely a quiet moment. Did the noise annoy the people on our street? Not one bit. In immigrant communities all over the globe, celebrating is part of the culture. It's part of survival. When your relatives are thousands of miles away, you make up for it by connecting with those around you who speak your language, eat your food, love your music, honor your traditions. We showed up for one another's barbecues, baptisms, anniversaries, quinceañeras, and Thanksgiving and Christmas off the chain. We partied our way from one home to the next. Halloween was my favorite holiday. It was at a neighborhood get together that I met two of my closest friends. I was 5. Mommy had recently befriended another Colombian lady, Amelia, who lived nearby in Jamaica Plain. She was having a gathering, just because. Colombians don't need a reason to party. Mommy brought me, and that weekend I made my debut as Tinkerbell. Amelia's daughter Gabriella, also 5, was dressed as Snow White. Her cousin Dana was Minnie Mouse. When a flying fairy, a lovely princess, and a polka dot clad mouse came face to face, there's zero need for small talk. That's why I cut to the chase. Want to dance? I asked. Both girls nodded and grinned. After we'd shown one another our best moves, there was no looking back. I had two best friends for life. The next Halloween, at a church costume contest, we expanded our BFF circle by one. Nice tutu. I smirked at this girl named Sabrina, who'd shown up wearing the same white ballerina outfit I had on. I had a total chick stole my look moment. Like, come on, this girl is not going to out ballerina me. We both bolted on that stage full throttle. 30 plies, sautés, and whatever else we were trying to pass off as ballet later, we both lost the contest. Sabrina and I realized there was no other way to recover but to become besties. Mommy, I'd beg after school, can my friends come over? They can if you finished your homework, she'd say, cutting up a pepino cucumber ahead of supper. My mother's answer was all it took to send me scurrying to round up the girls. Some days I'd hang with Dana and Gabriella, other times it was just me and Sabrina. But whenever all four of us got together, we were the ultimate hashtag SWAT squad goals. We rollerbladed, we rode our bikes, we splashed in the public pool, but mostly we lingered in the yard with our dolls so my parents could watch us. Every 30 minutes or so, I'd shuffle in to sweet talk Poppy into giving me popsicles. You're not going to be hungry for dinner, Mommy would say disapprovingly, as if that could stop me. Sometimes, when the world is spinning too fast, I close my eyes and recall those afternoons. Poppy sticking his head out the screen door simply to check on me and my friends. Mommy stirring her stew while humming and swiveling her hips to the rhythm of the cumbia. Us girls, lost in our laughter, disappearing into our world of dolls, books, board games, and imagination. Supper on the stove, music in the air, love all around. My wonder years. And here's a few more pictures. Oh, I guess that's her mommy and poppy right there. Okay, let's go ahead and answer that last question. How does Diane describe her wonder years? You'll find clues for this question in the last paragraph. Sometimes, when the world is spinning too fast, I close my eyes and recall those afternoons. And a few more clues. Supper on the stove, music in the air, love all around, my wonder years. If you'd like a sentence starter, you can use she describes her wonder years as blank. All right, everybody, that is it for chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I honestly was hoping that we would figure out what happened when she returned home. But I guess we'll figure that out in the next chapter. But it was nice to learn more about her background and her parents, her family. So, all good information. Anyway, I will see you next time. And until then, take care.